And we've got Matt English here to discuss some of the fallout of all of the last week's happenings in the free agency landscape of the NFL. Matt, we had quite a week last week, and it's still going. And what can I say? Aaron Rodgers is still an asshole, right?
Yeah, and trying to follow that Brett Favre path apparently. So it's been a really fun week. The phone doesn't stop dinging with all the updates that are constantly happening. So it's been a lot to keep up with, but pretty active and fun. Makes the off season a lot more fun.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have any terribly huge trades other than maybe the DK Metcalf to Pittsburgh deal. But Sunday night we had the big Chase and Higgins extensions go through in Cincinnati, and fortunately I was live at the time. Even beat ESPN to sending it out to you all, but because I don't know, Shefty and Rappaport, they must have been sleeping or something. But yeah, we had Chase and Higgins going back to Cincinnati, both of them signing. Higgins is no longer on the tag. And obviously this helps Joe Burrow for the next 4 years. It helps both of the receivers' values, I think, for the next 4 years. Because honestly, I prefer Higgins in Cincinnati with Joe Burrow opposed to going to some reclamation project quarterback where he'd have to be the savior there and get double covered. Now Higgins has got his single coverage that he's had for his first 4 seasons and flourished with. So, yeah, I love that. But back to Aaron Rodgers. What are I know you already mentioned the Brett Favre path, which would mean him going to Minnesota. I think that Pittsburgh is the other destination that everyone is eyeing up. Where now put your JJ McCarthy shares aside and everything else, where would you see him scoring the most points? Aaron Rodgers, Minnesota
Minnesota.
or Pittsburgh?
Minnesota.
Minnesota, yes.
Yeah.
He could be top 10 if he was at Minnesota, right?
Yeah. I mean, well, one, he gets Kevin O'Connell, right? That's number one. And then if you look at the weapons in which he has to throw to, I mean, just the fantasy relevant weapons, the big three in Jefferson, Addison, and Hawkinson, right? And then he's also got familiarity with his lead back in the backfield in Aaron Jones, plus whatever the hell else they bring in. Um, it's super attractive. Who wouldn't want to go be the quarterback there? And it was a great offensive line. I know there's been some movement here in the offseason, but that offensive line was incredible last year. So that's super attractive too. Less hits.
Yeah. Now, schematically, it just comes down to or logically speaking, do they want to do this to JJ McCarthy, right? Like, make him sit a whole nother year. That's what's most interesting to me, most intriguing. Like, why? Just roll with, just get McCarthy out there, get his feet wet, get him going.
Yeah, considering they turned down trade calls saying he's our guy, I don't. Maybe I mean I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of speaking of both sides, so no one knows what's happening or what they're doing. That way, they keep everybody's values high and Rodgers' asking price low. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
think it's both that and then the media just throwing everything that they see as potential to happen. They're just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
And and then you go over to the Pittsburgh side of things. If he were to go there right now, I mean, I'm hearing like Cam Hayward is just like, dude, I don't need to go out and recruit him. It's the Steelers. He either wants to play here or not. What's
Yeah.
the deal? Like, it sounds to me like he's pissing people off in Pittsburgh because Hayward was not too happy, like too eager to get Rodgers in the door. So, and he's obviously one of the team leaders, right? Hayward's been
Right.
there forever. I mean, the defense, he's the one where it stops, right? He's the leader on their defense, and Pittsburgh, that's what they are, defense first. Um, so I don't know. And then you top it off with Arthur Smith and DK and Pickens, and it's good television, I'll say that. Right?
It's good for us to sit here and think and talk a lot of what if and speculate and all the fun stuff. But I mean, if I'm looking at it, I don't. I mean, I don't think he's intentionally making anybody mad. He's trying to get the best gig he can at the right price. So I would much rather play in Minnesota. I mean, one, you play 8 games, or yeah, 8 games in a dome for sure,
Yeah.
right? So that's attractive. Plus all the weapons, plus the coach, plus the frame. I don't know. I would much rather be in Minnesota. There's just it would be a much better environment for him. Pittsburgh, he's outside. There's instability, I think, in that wide receiver room. Pickens, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that dude. And then you bring in DK.
The one guy between both of these spots that would benefit the most would be DK, because I think Rodgers could turn DK into more of a target hog there, because he likes to lock into somebody, and I think DK would see more targets, because if Rodgers goes there, he doesn't care what play Arthur Smith calls. He's gonna call whatever he wants then at the line. So I think Rodgers actually is one of the better quarterback fits to go with Arthur Smith, because Rodgers is the type to all week long in the quarterback room to be like, yeah, that looks good, Arthur. Throw that in for Sunday. Yeah, that looks good. Sure. And then on Sunday, he just calls whatever he wants at the line.
Does whatever he wants, yeah.
So, I mean,
help balance out.
I think that honestly speaking, he probably has as good of a shot at a Super Bowl in either place. Okay? Because he goes to Minnesota, he's still got to deal with Detroit in the division. Green Bay is still solid.
True.
And the Bears are obviously improving, so that's a super monster division. And vice versa. In the AFC North, Pittsburgh's in the toughest division in the AFC. So just to get out of the division, to win the division is going to be tough in either spot, right? Fantasy-wise, though,
I won Minnesota. That's
Minnesota with the weapons that he's got there.
Yeah.
So what are you willing to throw out there if you've only got 2 quarterbacks and your second quarterback's you got Geno Smith as your second quarterback, who we can talk about as well. But what are you willing to throw out there for Aaron Rodgers?
Right now, undecided where he's going, or under the assumption it's Minnesota.
Right? You want to get ahead
of it. Assume he's okay. If I'm going to bring in Rodgers, I'm going to play the gamble that he's going to Minnesota. And I'm playing to win now. Clearly, if I'm in some sort of a rebuild or retool, or just I'm barely contending, no, I don't want any piece of Rodgers. But if I think I got a real shot to win and I'm just missing potentially a backup quarterback, or if he pops, he's one of my quarterbacks, and then I have a back, whatever it may be, maybe I look at a later second, an early third. If I'm trying to win, then I would probably invest a little bit more than I normally would if I'm middle of the pack for an aged quarterback. Because, I mean, the best you're getting is a year, maybe 2. You got to believe, right? So, or maybe, I don't even know player-wise what I would want to comp on that. That one's a little bit tougher. I'll say late second, early third for me.
Yeah, I find it really hard for them to give up to give up 2 years on J.J. McCarthy. It just they have to. It's only going to be a 1-year type thing, but Rodgers is going to want to sign more than that. So I think that's where the hang up could be right now. Here's some deals for Rodgers. You've got 2 quarterback, 12 team, start 10 straight up for Isaiah Pacheco. Here's another one with Pacheco, Rodgers, and the 302. That seems more realistic.
Yeah, and the thing is Rodgers is not going to be valued at a. He's probably valued less than an early third. But like I said, if I'm trying to win, and this is the piece, and I think he'll land in Minnesota, and that's the gamble. Then why not? Why not invest a little bit? Because as soon as you do, and if he does sign with Minnesota, his value is going to go up. It's going to go way up. And actually, even if he signs with Pittsburgh, it's going to go up because he'll sign somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it's Minnesota, it's the lottery win, right, for value. But if it's Pittsburgh, it's going to go up, and your value is going to be hit. You're going to hit your value. So you just get out in front of it a little bit. So I don't have as much a problem on a player like this in this situation to invest, a pick or two higher value to get him.
Yeah, I think so. That brings up, you mentioned if you're not a contender. I mean, even if you're in a rebuild, you could potentially throw a third at him in hopes of gaining a second later. But again, you're gambling on him retiring then. So if he doesn't land anywhere,
yeah,
which I don't think that'll happen. He would have already retired, I think, if he was going to retire. He's going to end up in one of those two spots. Worst case, he ends up, I don't know, with the Giants maybe.
Well, yeah, there's like 3 teams, right, or 3 guys in Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and Kirk Cousins. We don't know yet. Cousins is still a Falcon, but we don't know what's happening with those guys yet. But there's still the Giants job, right? There's still the Titans job. There's the Browns. There's still plenty of teams. So I don't think he's going into retirement. It's just where is he going and what's that going to look like from a fantasy side. But I think with Aaron Rodgers, as long as he goes somewhere, he's going to be fantasy relevant. And to me, that's worth that early third. I think that's a totally fair deal there.
Yeah. Now, we see here, first of all, you brought up Cousins. Now, one note there on Cousins that I did read is that he already got a signing bonus, roster bonus. So I think if the Falcons were going to trade him, they would have done so already because they've already just shelled out $10 million for keeping him by whatever it was, March 1st or something like that. So Cousins might be stuck there, honestly. If you want to bet on Cousins, that's a very risky gamble, I guess.
I don't want to bet on Cousins. I think Wilson and Rodgers, because they're free and clear, they're much more attractive. Waiting for Cousins to be traded is not nearly as fun.
All right, so we've got one deal here that'll bring up our next guy, and that's Sam Darnold. Aaron Rodgers and the 206 for Sam Darnold. I don't hate that. I mean, Darnold just signed with Seattle, and what are your thoughts quick on that?
Well, I actually like Sam Darnold. I think he's a decent quarterback. So I kind of like it both ways here, to be honest, because if you're getting Rodgers, you just got that 206 compensation. That's great.
Right.
Now I feel like there's no risk because that's probably about what Sam Darnold's worth. So
giving you some insurance, if Rodgers were to retire, you still got the 206 on the backside. So yeah, I don't hate that one either way. I guess I would prefer the Darnold side just because you're going to have longevity. But then again, if Rodgers does go to Pittsburgh or Minnesota, then you're probably looking at a win there for the first year or two at least of the deal. Plus, you're getting the pick to do whatever with. So once Rodgers signs, then maybe I'd lean that side. It's tough because Darnold's only 27, right? and the structure of the contract he did in just a 3-year deal, he's setting himself up for another possible big payday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's going to be 30 years old when this deal is done.
Assuming that deal gets completed.
Well, let's play it out like he does well in his first and second years. You know, he gets them into the playoffs both years. Doesn't win a Super Bowl, but gets them into the playoffs the first and second years. He could be looking at Seattle giving him an extension again.
Right. But if he doesn't have a good year in year one, essentially they can be free and clear of Darnold for like less than 60 mil. So, and no cap hits or no dead hit, right? So keep that in mind. Like his contract is cause for pause, right? It's like 37.5 guaranteed, and then if he's healthy, he gets his roster bonus of like 14 million.
Sure.
So, and then after that, nothing they can get out from underneath them. So,
yeah, so they left themselves room for, you know, a poor performance to where they could still go out and draft a rookie,
right,
and then be able to afford it because of the money that they had locked into Darnold. Now they could still afford it if they went and drafted a rookie.
mm-hmm.
You know, in year 2 or 3 of that deal. So, yeah. So with Darnold going to Seattle, that helped JSN, right? He's got a good, accurate quarterback now throwing him the ball. At least we don't have the question mark surrounding. Is it just going to be Sam Howell or some rookie throwing him the ball? So for JSN, along with the DK Metcalf trade to Pittsburgh, things were looking really good, right? And then on Friday, they signed Cooper Kupp. So now where are you at on JSN, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I'm still high on JSN. I mean, he's the man in that locker room. Even with the Kupp signing, we've seen, I guess, kind of like what's going to happen. I guess Cooper Kupp's what, 31, almost 32,
31 or 32,
and you know, he comes with a long injury history now, right? A few years ago, dude, all the receptions, like 140 some odd receptions, almost 2,000 yards, 13, 14 touchdowns. I mean, dude, Kupp was the creme de la creme of receivers. But here we are a few injuries later, a couple of down seasons because of that. I think we'll see him kind of move predominantly into a slot role, and that still allows JSN to be the X receiver there. So I think he's fine. I think he's totally fine. And with his skill set, he's going to get a lot of targets from Darnold. So I think JSN's totally fine here. I still view him as a wide receiver 1 from a ranking and a value standpoint.
So Jaxon Smith-Njigba or Garrett Wilson? Who are you taking
JSN.
as a startup?
JSN.
Okay, JSN.
That's easy.
Or Rashee Rice?
JSN. And now look, that one's a little bit tougher, but Rishi's coming back from injury, and then there's also the looming suspension on that. So we don't know exactly how much time he misses in 25. So I still have JSN ahead. They're both pretty young, but also JSN doesn't have the injury history as well. So that's something to consider. I love JSN. I'm extremely high on him. Give me someone else.
Trying to think of another. JSN or Drake London?
That's tough. That is a tough one. I'm still going to lean JSN. Still going to lean JSN on that one.
You're going to go JSN. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's some deals involving JSN. Up top, even is a real good one here. You got Puka Nacua. This is a 12-team start 9. I think that's key, start 9. But you get Jordan Love, JSN, and the 111 on the other side. Oof.
That's a haul. Yeah, I'm on that side.
You like the...
I like the pick and JSN side on that one. Yeah, that's great. I like the haul.
We got that one's trash. Somebody threw a bunch of garbage and got JSN there. Here's here's all my crappy picks. I'll take JSN from you. Thank you. How about this one? Yeah, I know which way you're gonna go. Dak, Ridley, in the 409 for JSN.
Yeah, I would hold on to JSN if I had him. Now, if I'm getting him for that price, I would do it.
Okay, here's a couple of interesting ones. We've got JSN, a 26 second, a 312 for Joe Milton, Tank Dell, and the 102.
Oh, man.
Start 11.
Ooh.
Really JSN for the 102, but.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't care about the picks. The 26 second rounder's kind of nice, I guess. The 312, call it a fourth rounder. Not super excited about that, but JSN. And then, like, looking at that, I mean, depending on, let's see, what is that? Start 11 full P. Okay, so it's not best ball, it's a lineup league. I would probably go the 102 Tank Dell Milton route here. Simply because of its lineup league, I could probably throw Tank Dell into the IR, hope that Joe Milton hits or lands somewhere to develop and hit later, and then take the 102. Yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah. Because then maybe you split the 102 to a couple later first rounder. I don't know, man. You could do a lot more with that. So yeah, in that scenario, I would not take the JSN side.
Yeah, it comes down to, for me, it's what kind of team are you? Are you rebuilding, or are you a contending team that happened to land this 102 from somebody else, right?
Right.
If you did that, I don't mind. If I need a wide receiver, like I want JSN over Tet McMillan going into this year if I'm contending, right? Probably for the next year or two. But if I'm rebuilding, I don't mind getting out on JSN for this haul, and then you can do whatever with the 102. You could split it, or you've got more options. You'd be more flexible for sure. So that's an interesting one. Next one right below it, Bijan for JSN and the 104.
Give me the pick and the receiver.
Yeah,
give me the pick and the receiver. And draft. I can draft Bijan Robinson with that 104, and I get JSN.
Yeah,
so
the 104 is too good of a pick there. If it was like the 106, 107, 108 range, then I'd have a little more. It'd be Then it would be pretty tight. That'd be really tough. Where's another good one? Bryce Young and JSN for Jalen Hurts. Oof.
Look at. Yeah, give me Bryce Young and JSN. Look at one down from that, though. Fields and JSN 4.
Yeah.
How many is this?
Fields and
14
JSN
teams.
On that one.
14 teams. Pick 112, 113, 213, 413, 80 Mitchell.
I mean, it's a lot of picks, but still, I'll take JSN on that one.
2 quarterbacks. I'd be curious to know what the pick side deal, like how many other picks he has in the first round.
Right.
Because I feel like you could probably draft a Jackson Dart there at 112 in a 14 team. Maybe. Right. Maybe a Quinn Ewers. If Ewers ends up in LA, that could be a good deal for him. But it's all pushing it down the road. I mean, you're a year. Even if Jackson Dart goes, there's no guarantee he starts this year. Yeah, that one's tough. I guess I'd have to see the full spectrum there. But like at first glance, I'm kind of with you on that one. Give me Fields and JSN.
Yeah, if one of those firsts was more like the 105, then I could maybe get behind it. But,
or if it's a 12 team, and that's the 11 and 12, then it makes a little bit more ease.
Sure.
Or the 10 and 11, I guess, is what it would be. The 10 and the 11. But at that point,
here's one that's tough. Start 9, 10 team only. But you got JSN and Fields again, along with the 207 for London and Penix.
Oh God.
That one's tough. I don't know which way I lean on that one.
So basic.
Looking at JSN and London cross each other out, and then Fields in the 207 for Penix is pretty even as well. Oof. I'd say
Yeah,
stack.
it is pretty because I'm not super high on either quarterback, to be honest. So I mean, I think Penix is still going to go through quite a bit of growing pains. I think we know what Justin Fields is. So no, give me the left side. Give me JSN Justin
Like the
Fields in the
side
207.
with the pick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
give me the pick. Because Justin Fields
I
got a
like
floor
this.
with his legs, man.
I like the stack there, but
I get it.
again, it's 10 teams, so in 10 team, I mean, they're all starters still. The 207 is not that great of a pick in a 10 team. So,
Depends on how the draft goes and then what's
sure.
left there. I mean, 10 teams, shift it all back a couple. I mean, you could get something nice there. You really could. You could end up with a Trey Harris and a 10 team. So I
Right.
mean,
Yeah,
there's
it's true.
or a Matthew Golden, uh, a Caleb Johnson potentially, depending on how hard running backs are drafted. So anyway,
Yeah,
there's guys that would be there, I think, or Cam Scattaboo or Rashal Tootin. There's going to be
sure.
some hitters there that I think are going to be significant fantasy pieces at the 207. So I would definitely take the pick side. Me.
hmm Yeah, you
Yeah.
definitely get into that range where you could take the top end part of the running backs 6 through 17 is where I have them. I've got a
Mhm.
list of 11, 12 running backs there that are pretty landing spot dependent right now because they could, you brought up Scattaboo and Tootin, but you can throw Devin Neal, Damian
Yeah.
Martinez, R.J. Harvey, DJ Giddens. I can go on, right?
Yeah.
There's a ton of backs where if they end up getting picked on day 2, they're going to move ahead of somebody that's on day 4 or 5, or vice versa. Like somebody like Damian Martinez goes on day 4 to the Steelers, but DJ Giddens goes to the Ravens. Well, again, that's where it comes in. What I talked about earlier is some teams like the running back position and value it more than other
Right.
teams. And we will get into the running backs coming up here, but uh, you just got to understand that. Like the Cowboys, Jerry Jones has blatantly outright said that he doesn't value the running back position. So why everybody's expecting them to take Ashton Genty if he's there at pick 12? I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
Uh, Maybe because it's Genty he would, but
Yeah, but he was high on Brooks last year and didn't pull the trigger when he could have.
right,
So
exactly.
there's that followed by these recent statements of I don't see the running back position value evaluation the same as I once did. Okay, great. Maybe
Yeah,
they're only giving like day 2 capital to a running back, which is still good capital, right? Maybe it's day 3. I don't know, but they'll draft one, but it doesn't mean it's going to be in the first, second round.
right.
So it doesn't
I'm just
necessarily
not
mean that's
putting
a
it
hit or
past
pick.
him. I'm just saying I'm not putting it past him to just wait and grab Ollie Gordon that falls in the 5th.
Oh, I see. I could see them drafting someone like Brashard Smith because they just got. Well, we're going to get into this. They just got Williams, and they just what was it? Sanders? Did they sign Sanders?
Yep, Miles
So
Sanders.
it's they've got 2 bruising backs that are pretty inefficient, but someone like Brashard Smith brings a different skill set to the table with speed and pass catching ability. That kind of a pick makes sense where you're drafting like a Tyrone Tracy type who could pop, but are the touches and volume going to be there for him to pop or the opportunity, right?
Right.
So we gotta approach these things cautiously. It doesn't matter how much you like the player, you got to look at situation too because it could hurt. It could hurt a lot.
For sure. All right. So before we get it to those running backs, let's finish up the quarterbacks. We've got Geno Smith, who is also involved in the Seattle situation. That's where they
Mhm.
started their sort of waterfall of trades. Um, back on what was it, the Friday before they traded DK.
Mhm.
They shipped Geno Smith to Pete Carroll and the Raiders, so Carroll could get his old quarterback that he had in Seattle. And Seattle picked up a third rounder for that. So,
Mhm.
first of all, Geno, what do you think of his landing spot in Las Vegas, and what does it do for Bowers and Jacoby Myers?
So I think it's an upgrade for both of them. So both of their values are sustained, if not increased. I think that helps Geno's value, already having good pieces in play. I think it also speaks volume as to what they're about to do with the sixth pick. Now they don't need a quarterback in a not so quarterback rich draft. So I could totally see them taking someone like Genty if on the board. Yeah, I could see it happening.
It does set them up very nicely to
Yeah,
potentially take either Genty or Ted McMillan. They could take as well.
they could. I could see them taking the running back though.
I would lean with Pete Carroll. Yes, I would absolutely
Yeah.
lean towards him taking the running back there, and then wait and take a Trey Harris in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But and see the other thing too, though. I mean, I think this is great for Vegas and their fantasy aspirations. We'll say, but man, masterclass to Seattle. They trade DK for a second
Then they got a third for Geno. Right?
and a third for Geno,
Five
and then you go and get
rounds.
Sam Darnold, who he's pretty much a younger version of what Geno does. You don't even have to change the offense, right?
Right. Potentially even better than Geno.
Right. Plus, there's already familiarity between the play caller and the new quarterback in Seattle, and he's doing it for like $8 million less a year. So that's great, and you get a third and a second now on top of it, and you got Cooper Kupp for a discount to what DK was going to demand. So they're saving tons of money. They get picks, and they're in a fine situation. Master plays. As someone who loves to wheel and deal, I watched what they were doing in this thing, and Seattle was really impressive. Really impressive.
For sure. I mean, out of all of this so far,
and I told you DK was getting traded. I told you. I called that mid-year.
He was gonna, play his whole career out as the franchise in Seattle, but money speaks volumes, and I don't blame what Seattle ended up doing. Like, they shifted the contract that they would have had to pay DK over to Sam Darnold. You do that, I mean, all day long. It's a quarterback position versus a wide receiver position, and then you bring in Kupp on the backside of the free agency period here. 3 years for $45 million. Who knows if he plays all 3 years of that? But
it's cheap though.
It's cheap. Yes, it's half the price. It's half the price they would have had to pay DK. And then to benefit that, it gives confidence to somebody like JSN. I just think, and their offense as a whole is probably better. I love DK and everything, but they can draft somebody to run deep patterns so that Cooper Kupp and JSN can operate underneath. Now, with that said, with Kupp, I don't know where your thoughts are on him, potentially eventually being a Hall of Famer or whatever, but the fact is, the dude, yes, he had that one awesome season, but he's only had two 1,000-yard seasons in his career.
Yeah, no, look, Kupp's a great receiver, man. His career, he's one of those that's just been derailed by injury. And, he's at least fortunate enough that he popped off in their Super Bowl year. So he got himself a ring. He got himself a Hall of Fame season in the same year. I mean, I'd love to see Kupp stay healthy for a couple more years and just at least have the ability to pad his stats and for everyone to see how good he truly is. I mean, dude, he's such a good route runner. He's got great hands, good instinctive abilities. The way his body positioning and control is so good. That's why he catches so many balls. He puts himself in such good situations on the ball. I love Cooper Kupp, man. It's just it's from a fantasy aspect. I hardly own any shares of that dude, and hardly have because he's an injury risk every year. He's very fragile, and that kind of stinks. That kind of stinks. So, but I think like I said, I think he'll be relegated more to the slot role, which he can carve up a defense in a slot role. He's going to make life very easy for Sam Darnold in that. What a great dump off to have quick passes, all that kind of stuff. Because Seattle's offensive line is not what Minnesota's was. So to have Kupp and JSN, to have quick releases on, and to have a solid run game behind him is going to be good.
For sure. So here's some deals with Cooper Kupp recently since Friday. We've got Kupp in the 306 for the 202. Seems pretty fair. Kupp for the 207. Is that where you're at about? This is a 10-team start.
I think that's a mid-second's not bad for a 31-year-old receiver who not guaranteed to finish you of the season. That's
right.
That's a good take. I'm not saying I would do that deal, but if I'm getting the 207, I like what I'm getting there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're win now, or if you're a team where Cooper Kupp was your 6th or 7th wideout,
right,
ship him off for the 207. But if you're win now and you need a good 5th wideout, Cooper Kupp for the 207, I'll take that. Kupp's probably going to outscore any wide receiver that you draft there.
Yeah,
I mean, we both love Jalen Noel, and that's kind of where we would be looking to grab him potentially.
Potentially, yeah.
There's
a lot to be taken in that range. I mean, I think the 20, like I said, I would be happy getting the 207 for Kupp because I feel like I'm getting value in the pick. I think Kupp's probably more of a value to a later second, but I think that's fine if you really like Kupp and maybe you have Darnold or whatever, and you're trying to create the stack and you're making a run, whatever it may be, or maybe you're trying to build the stack to sell, or maybe you're hoping he does well and you're going to sell him. I don't know. I think it's fine to pay up a little bit right before the draft. If you're landing the player based on your research you believe is taking you somewhere, right?
Right.
If you have a positive mood and you think you can do it, I think it's okay to pay a little bit over if you believe in what you're doing, right?
Right.
If you're just doing it to do it and to get a deal done because you read one article that said Cooper Kupp's going to be a sleeper wide receiver 1, that's a mistake. That's a mistake. But if you have bigger plans, then sure.
Here's a deal. This is only a 10-team start 9. I don't really want to talk about that. But I was going to say I don't really love this deal here.
Ooh.
It's Kupp, Olave, and Pacheco for the 104 and around a second in the 26th draft.
Give me the picks.
Yeah, I'll take the picks all day.
Yeah.
More you can do with it. That's the kind of trade out there you want to avoid making. Okay, if you're giving up your 104, you got to give me something more than Chris Olave as the main piece there. Because Pacheco is,
you're dealing names. That's all that is. You're dealing names.
Pacheco is no better than Kareem Hunt. The problem is you're paying twice as much for him right now.
Dude, I would take a 3rd for Pacheco. I would take a 3rd round pick for him right now. Rookie pick.
Pacheco is somebody, and then you've got the potential of them drafting a good running back.
Or if I had an abundance of 3rds, I'd bundle a pick with him to get rid of him somehow. Yeah.
Right. And that's where we're at with a lot of running backs right now, these veterans. Brian Robinson, somebody similar. Robinson obviously looked better than Pacheco last season. But the potential for Washington to draft a running back in this class that's better than Brian Robinson is not that hard, right?
Mm-hmm. Look, conversely, though, too, if you can get an early second in Pacheco, would you move off of a first or a future first, knowing what you can draft this year in the early second?
No,
from a running
I'd
back position.
On to that first. I wouldn't want to I wouldn't want to work a deal like that. I would want to keep my first. If I was going to get, I would try some other way to get into the early second. I like the early second picks, like, you know, a 12-team league, the first, second, and third picks of the second round. I do like
Yeah.
those for the opportunity to get either Jackson Dart or Colston Loveland, Trey Harris. I see those guys being there at the beginning of the second round, and I like their potential. I just don't want to give up a future first to land, like, for instance, a quarterback like Jackson Dart, where we don't know right now, even after he gets drafted. If he gets drafted in the late first, you know, maybe if
What
he
if he
goes
goes early
first,
mid? What if he goes to, like, let's say the Saints?
yeah, if he goes to the Saints, then you've got a different situation, but he's probably not falling to the beginning of the second round then, right? He's
Right.
going to move up. If he
Well,
gets
no,
picked
because he won't play year one unless there's injury if he's drafted by New Orleans. He won't.
still, he's going to go at least in the back of the first, I think.
Maybe. Yeah.
If he gets
Maybe.
picked at pick 9, what are the Saints, 9 or 10?
9.
I get,
Yeah.
okay, they're at 9. Yeah, if he gets picked at pick 9, yeah, if he falls into the second round, I'm taking that all day. Then you have a Michael Penix situation from last year,
Right.
basically, where you know, you pick him in the second round, and then by the offseason, you can get a first for him. So
Yeah.
Let's go on from the quarterbacks then to the running backs. Or actually, do you have any quick thoughts on Russell Wilson? I know he visited the Browns and Giants lastly. Do you think he still has, I mean, the outside chance to go back to Pittsburgh now, or do you think that kind of has run its course? I mean, DK, both of their wives, him and DK, are very good friends, so that's a situation where it's easy to see happening. It's just whether or not Pittsburgh wants to just kind of run it back and make the first round of the playoffs and lose.
Maybe. I don't know, man. I don't know, honestly, what to think or where he's going to go. I feel like it's Cleveland or Pittsburgh, and that's pretty much it. That's his market. Um, I don't think the Giants would be interested in a Russell Wilson. I don't think it does anything for him. So Rodgers does, right? You got Malik Neighbors and you've got Tyrone Tracy. Chances are they're going to draft a quarterback with the third pick.
Yeah, the
And if it's
Giants
not Cam Ward, I think that's a mistake. But you know,
yeah,
whatever.
I hate it for Neighbors if they bring in Russell Wilson. I don't like
I do
that.
too.
That's
I do
not
too.
somebody. Russell Wilson isn't somebody that likes to hyper target somebody 175 times in a season, and that's what could happen for Neighbors if he got Aaron Rodgers or even Cam Ward, right? As
Yeah,
his
or even
quarterback.
Shador. If Shador's drafted there, it's good for
Sure,
Malik.
absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I hope and pray he doesn't go to the Giants. I got a lot of shares of Neighbors, but I just don't. I don't think they're even interested in him. So I think they'd rather run with a rookie than bring Russell Wilson in the building.
All right. So we talked about the quarterbacks there. A lot of interesting moves and moves yet to be decided, and they will definitely, wherever Rodgers lands, it will create sort of a domino effect as to where the quarterbacks go in the rookie draft of the NFL. But then we move on to the running backs, and of course the headliner there would be the Najee Harris signing in LA for the Chargers. And Jim Harbaugh gets his back, you know, similar to J.K. Dobbins in the fact that it's a veteran that he can rely on. I think that the key here is Najee is much more healthy than J.K. Dobbins. Najee hasn't missed a game. Okay, you can say what you want about his production or his what did you call it? Him versus Warren. He was
Right.
more efficient. Okay, Warren. Najee wasn't that efficient, but some of that has to do with the Pittsburgh O-line, I think. and now he's getting a better offensive line in with the Chargers, and then you put in the game plan too, right? I just see the Chargers as a better running team than the
Mhm.
Steelers were, and Najee's good for his at least 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns, potentially even more, right?
Yeah, offensive line upgrade is seriously helps him. I think I phrased it as criminally inefficient, is what I said he is. And he goes as far as his blocking takes him. I mean, he's a big dude. He can shed some tackles, but he's not busting a lot of big home run type plays for you or for the organization. But he's a good short yardage back. He's good to just pound the line, pound the line, pound the line. So it fits scheme, and he's going to get tons of volume there, and his yards per carry is going to go up. So it's a win. It's a value win for Najee owners.
Yeah, absolutely. So Najee here, we can bring him up, his deals, and he's going similar, maybe similar to slightly higher than Cooper Kupp right now. There's him going for the 207.
Hmm.
Here he's going for the 203. I mean, are you giving up the 203 for Najee, seeing as
It's
how good this running back class is? I guess if you're contending, maybe. I don't know.
it's I mean it's a higher asking price. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I'd say a mid or back of the mid is probably closer to fair value on the second, right? But yeah, I mean he stays healthy, and that's always the thing with running backs, right? Their
yeah,
shelf life, they get hurt, but he doesn't get hurt.
yeah,
So
yeah, and he plays hurt. The thing though, and you brought that up, is the Chargers still could draft a running back in the second
yeah,
or third round, right? And
yep.
they bring in Travion Henderson or Judkins or
You bring in
Juwan
Henderson,
Johnson.
lights out Harris.
Right. So that's where I'm saying I don't know that I'm giving this up quite yet for Najee Harris. I would rather just wait
Hmm.
and see. And if I've got to, then after the draft, I'll give up a 26-second for him. Right? Now, I don't
Yeah,
know that you can get him for a 26-second after the draft. You might have to do it now, but I don't know that I want to gamble away the 203 right now. The 207 and a later second, sure, but I don't. Yeah, it's a tough spot. I know that I've actively put him out there on the block.
hmm,
I had an offer of I put him and Davante Adams, who we'll talk about in a bit, for Rashee Rice. Uh, that one didn't go through. I got it thrown back at me, Najee and the 110 for Rashee Rice, so I'm mulling that over right now. That one's a tough one. Najee and the
mm,
110 for Rashee Rice. I don't know what you think. You wouldn't give up that much?
no, mm-mm.
Yeah, it's a little high. I like Rashee Rice and buying him at sort of a low spot right now, but I like the 110 pick. That's the problem. All right, so let's see here. We've got Roma Dunze and Najee for Xavier Worthy, Chase Brown, and the 208. Oof.
God,
I
that's a
like Rome
lot.
over Xavier Worthy, but give me the package side. I'd take Worthy
Yeah,
and 208. Yeah,
208 Chase Brown and Worthy. Yeah, I'm still pretty good with Chase Brown. I don't.
yeah.
I, I think he's totally fine for what the Bengals do. I don't see him getting a whole lot of threat to workload. So not
Yeah,
after
the
last year, he
Bengals
showed he
need
could
help.
handle it.
The
So
Bengals need help elsewhere. They're not. I
yeah,
don't see the Bengals taking an early running back. If they pick a running back, which they probably will, but they're not going to pick one till the fifth or sixth round. I mean,
yeah,
they
day
brought in
three.
P Ryan, They've got Zach Moss and Chase Brown. They're kind of set.
Yeah,
So they might just bring in an undrafted free agent for the practice squad.
yeah, yeah.
Because obviously they need help on defense. So they're going to be looking at it that way. Um, Man, this trade is a monster. 12 team start 11, full point tight end premium. Saquon and Najee for Brock Purdy, 106, 206, and a 26 first. Oof.
Ooh, man.
I'll take the package there.
Yeah. Not even close. To me, not even close.
Here's another
12.
big package deal. Jeez. Tyreek and Tua along with Stafford, 26 first, and the 203 for Kyler, Najee, and the 105. Whew.
So I'm going to take I will take the big side here. I'll take the swing with Tyreek Hill, Matt Stafford, Tua, a future first, and the 203. Yeah. I'm going to assume that team is ready to go win a Super Bowl. That's what I'm going to assume in this scenario.
You better
Or that's what they're trying to do, right?
Yeah. You better be if you're getting Tyreek. I mean, Tyreek.
And Stafford.
And Stafford, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want to give up. This is how I want to go about giving up the 105. But I mean, if you're set everywhere else, like you got a good young team everywhere else that's ready to pop this year, like you had a few of the good rookie wide receivers from last year, and you just need to fit in the pieces, and you landed yourself the 105 pick, so you're sort of middle of the pack. I don't mind doing this to get those veteran pieces right now. None of those three guys are going to lose value because of the draft. So, yeah. I mean, you're betting on Tyreek versus Najee in your flex position is what you're doing here. And then Kyler versus Stafford and Tua. I don't know that I love that too much. I mean, aren't you kind of putting yourself in a situation at your quarterback too, where you got a debate between Stafford and Tua every week?
Maybe. Maybe. But I mean, based on like history, we know Tua will probably get hurt at some point. Maybe Stafford as well. But look at also what Stafford just got handed him, right? Now he's got Puka and Davante Adams. That's nice.
Right.
That's really nice. And then if you're Tua, you still have Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. You still have all the weapons around you. So you got two good quarterbacks there. He may not have much else. Maybe that's why he did it. Shit, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just like the pick side. Now the pick below that was the one that put you on the thinker. To me, it was like Najee and Marvin Mims for Jalen McMillan and David Montgomery. That one put you on the stinking thing.
Yeah, that one's Najee and Mims for McMillan and Montgomery. Oof. Well, Montgomery and Najee are pretty equal now. And then Mims and McMillan, that's pretty much a dead even trade.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to know if it's best ball or lineup. That's what I would want to know here. So.
Yes. I don't know if it lists, because I don't see any of these listing best ball. So.
Right. I don't either.
How about this? The 103 trading down for Najee and the 110. I don't like that. I'd keep the.
I'm sure the compensation lines up, but
probably. Yeah, I mean, value-wise, it's probably close on a calculator or whatever, but I'd try for something different with the 103, I guess.
I think I'd rather have like an early second than Najee Harris.
Yeah.
Or like a mid-second instead of Najee in this draft.
Right.
Because I'm pretty sure if you get like the 204, 205, 6, something like that, you could probably get your hands on a Scatterboo, or you could get your hands on like a Devin Neal or a Tootin, something like that, which is probably going to be long-term a better value. Yeah. Plus, you have the 110, so yeah, I wouldn't have split the 103 that way. No. Okay. I could do the 110 in a player just like that, but it's not going to be Najee Harris. I could, maybe I take a lesser pick and ask for Chase Brown if he's got him or something like that. But
That's what I like. I think the 103 is just too premium of a pick.
Sure. You can have your choice of running back, quarterback, maybe receiver.
Wide receiver, yeah, right.
So
All right, so quickly let's rattle through the other running backs, sort of tier below, right? We've got J.K. Dobbins, who's still out there. Then you have Rico Dowdle, Javonte, and Miles Sanders, all involving the Cowboys in some way. And then the Niners running backs. So, first of all, Dobbins, what, a third right now? Would you gamble on where he signs? Or no, just hang on?
no, I wasn't high on Dobbins last year. I mean, he only made like 50 grand. There wasn't a lot put into him. So I don't know where he's going to go, what it's going to look like, but it's a shame. It's a waste. It's a waste of talent because of injuries. Not his fault, just unfortunate.
Right. I could see him going to Pittsburgh in an ironic twist.
It seems like that's what the running backs are trying to do here, right?
Yeah.
Or what the market's doing in general.
Then over to the Cowboys guys. Dowdle went to the Panthers basically to be Chuba's backup, so that was kind of a loss in value if you didn't get rid of Dowdle ahead of the signing. Then you've got Javonte and Miles Sanders, who now have become a little more enticing, right?
Javonte Williams, yeah, a little bit more attractive, right? He definitely gets the value boost. I know Miles Sanders gets the value boost, which makes him more attractive, but I'm just not interested in Sanders. I don't think he's really.
Sanders, you can basically pick up off of waivers and stuff.
Exactly. I just don't think there's reason to go grab him and stash. He's a plotter, and he's just,
He's a body, yeah.
Yeah.
Then over to Eli Mitchell, Jordan Mason, and then, of course, Guerendo now as McCaffrey's backup. That really boosts him up. I mean, are you going to give up a second for Guerendo now? If you own McCaffrey?
Probably not, because I'm pretty darn sure San Francisco is going to pop a running back in the first or second round. So, I mean, they've committed to Brock Purdy, a quarterback. They've let Debo go. They still have Juwan Jennings and Pearsall, who they just invested first. I could just see them investing day 1-2 capital into a running back, which is going to sink his value. And we don't even know what's going to come with Christian McCaffrey yet either. So, as far as if he's even on the Niners.
Trade Ayuk. Do you think they trade Ayuk before April 1st? He's due a roster bonus.
I would.
Question
would
is
trade
how
him.
much they can get for him, right? An injured wide receiver with a big contract now.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of wishful thinking there in San Francisco that
They should have never
value.
They should have never did the contract that they did. They should have traded him last year. So,
yeah, it would have probably been the better route. I mean, combined with the fact they drafted Pearsall in the first round, I think that, if I'm San Francisco, I don't mind just getting out for a 4th or 5th rounder, getting out of that contract, right?
Yeah. At this point, yeah.
Because they can just draft another wide receiver this year, 2nd round or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't mind Eli Mitchell. He becomes a little relevant going to Kansas City.
Yeah.
That's a good offense. And now that they brought Kareem Hunt back and Eli Mitchell, Pacheco's still there. They could draft one, but then they'd have 4 running backs, and you're not going to be rostering 4 guys on game day. So,
well, Pacheco's only got 5th round draft capital, so
yeah.
They could do something really willy-nilly, which wouldn't be necessarily something Kansas City would do, I don't think. But, yeah, it's good for Mitchell, not necessarily for Pacheco. The fun one to me is the Jordan Mason in Minnesota.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one because they get him super, in my opinion, pretty cheap.
6th round.
To come back up Aaron Jones, and Jordan Mason, he's going to siphon work from Jones, I believe. He's not a bad running back. He shouldered that offense for a while last year in San Francisco. So
I think that Jordan Mason pretty much does what like AJ Dillon was doing in Green Bay with Jones. Jones isn't a guy who
Mason's better though. I will say that Mason's better. I like the comparison, but Mason's just a better back. Yeah.
Yes, I'm just talking touches wise.
Right.
Aaron Jones is most efficient when he's only getting 15 to 18 touches a game, and 5 or 6 of those are targets.
Right.
Out of the backfield. So you're looking at 12 rushing attempts.
Mm-hmm.
That means that there's another 6 to 10 rushing attempts available per week there for Jordan Mason, and who knows how many of those are goal line attempts. But yeah, Jordan Mason is he's back. He's definitely on the radar now. Again, though, the Vikings easily could draft Omarion Hampton in the back end of the first and load it up, right?
And change everything. Yep.
Yeah. So even though they paid Jordan Mason, it was 2 years for $12 million, which is a decent contract for a backup running back. I mean, it's more than Javonte Williams got.
Yeah.
So I think that they're probably.
I think it's a win for Minnesota. I think it's an absolute win for Minnesota.
Yeah. All right, so now on to the wide receivers. We touched on DK going to Pittsburgh, but him and Pickens, well, that remains to be seen if Pickens is going to get traded or not. And I think they want to see who their quarterback is first, because if Rodgers goes there, I think he can handle DK and Pickens.
Yeah, Rodgers can support both, right? Russell, I don't think can. If Cousins got traded, Cousins could support both.
Yeah, definitely. Would you be out on Pickens though for a second right now? You just taking any second, pretty much.
No, if I had Pickens.
If you had Pickens, I know you don't because you hate him, but.
Yeah. If I had Pickens, I'd take a second. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be grateful for it too. I'd be grateful for it. But
I don't know what team would want him and his attitude, but like the potential would be there for like him to go to the Packers and be their number one, right? He could go to Carolina and be their number one. Okay, so
yeah, go to New England.
New England, he could be their number one, absolutely, right. So I think that a Pickens trade, I don't know if it would happen on draft night, but it could.
Vegas would make sense for him, not necessarily because he gets the targets, but because he gets Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll would handle that dude's issues, I think, very well, or work with him better than some other coaches. Because I started thinking about it. If he was in New England, he and Mike Vrabel would not like each other. And I don't think Vrabel would ever do that deal. But Pete Carroll, you better believe, would.
Yes, I agree. That would be a good spot for him. So then a couple of veterans that signed. We got Davante Adams and Chris Godwin. I think that helps both of those veteran quarterbacks out, helps both offenses out. So you can look at the Rams and Bucs offenses as still being top 5 in the NFC, right? Offenses.
Mm-hmm.
I think that
I think
doesn't hurt Puka either.
Yeah, I think Davante in LA is huge for LA. I think it's good for his fantasy aspects as well because now he's got Matt Stafford slinging the ball, and regardless of his age and what you may think of, dude can still football pretty damn well. And then Chris Godwin actually hurts the value of Jalen McMillan a little bit. He stays more of as an investment type player for the time being. But man, it really helps Tampa Bay's aspirations to go to the playoffs and actually push towards a Super Bowl. So I think that increases Evans' value a little bit. I think that keeps him on the field longer. And then I think it also helps, Baker Mayfield. I think that goes without saying.
Yeah. Then let's see, a couple smaller ones, Christian Kirk and Josh Palmer. Just adding nice, solid veteran depth to those wide receiver rooms. I think that Josh Palmer, I don't know that there's one wide receiver other than Shakir that I love owning in Buffalo now. I mean, it hurts Keon Coleman probably. But Christian Kirk going to Houston as of now helps the stability for CJ Stroud. Now, whether they choose to draft a wide receiver in the first or second round, that remains to be seen. Where do you think you're down in Houston? What do you think they're leaning right now in the end of the first round right now?
I have no idea. They made some moves on the offensive line. I don't know if it's necessarily better moves. Christian Kirk definitely helps C.J. Stroud in what's kind of a shaken up wide receiver room as of right now, because we still don't know what Stephon Diggs is doing, right? But it really helps Kirk's value.
Yeah,
got a much better quarterback going on the football. So
yeah, Christian Kirk was kind of dead there in Jacksonville. So now he's back to maybe a roughly third round value.
Yeah. I've got like 3/3 in a league. I guess if I got asked for one of them, I could give up a late third for Christian Kirk.
Sure, because he's like right now I'm just saying he's like dynasty wide receiver 60 right now. I can easily see Christian Kirk finishing wide receiver 30, right? Wide receiver 40, where you're able to start him here and there. Like, I'm not talking relying on him as my wide receiver 2 or 3, but if he's somebody that I got to plug into a lineup 4 or 5 times a year, or in best ball, I don't mind it.
Yeah,
having him. Let's move on to tight end. We've only got a couple of guys here to touch on. Mostly, though, first we'll talk Evan Engram to Denver. So this is a perfect fit and kills the, Colston Loveland to Denver hype in the rookie draft. But I think this is super nice for Bo Nix.
This is a great addition to Denver for their offense. Engram really reinvented himself there in Jacksonville and became the biggest safety net to Trevor Lawrence. He didn't get as many red zone looks as you would hope for a receiving tight end, but man, between the sticks, he got target after target after target. He's a nice big target, good route runner, great pass catcher. So it's another weapon for Bo Nix, and they don't have to waste high draft capital to do it. I think that's a great pickup for them. And I don't think it hurts a lot of their big receiver production of Sutton and Mims. There are a lot of deeper balls, and Engram operates underneath. So I think it's a great logistical add for Denver and what they need.
Yeah, it's really a perfect fit there. With tight ends, what we're looking for to try and get that pop season, like a tight end 5 or better season, you need to be a top 2 target guy on your team. And Engram right now is looking pretty good to have that here. You got Cortland Sutton as the top option, and now he can be the second option with Marvin Mims running the deep routes on the other side. So I think it really sets them up well. They've got decent depth with the other guys in Bailey and Troy Franklin there. So I think that their wide receiver room along with the tight end room now looks really, really solid going forward for Bo Nix. For Engram now, you can get him here. He went for Dallas Goedert. They're about the same. I like Engram's upside as opposed to Goddard, I would say, because Engram, like you said, I mean, those short routes, he can just eat, whereas and Bo Nix is the type of quarterback to feed him like that, right?
Yeah, and look, that's a full point tight end premium league. I'd much rather have Evan Engram. Yeah. And I tell you, the one that really struck me, and I wanted to check the rates on a 26 mid-second, that Engram for the 26 mid-second, Oh, I love that deal. I'm
Yeah,
not one to just like trade away a pick for a player unless there's other parts, but I would in that case. If I'm trying to win or contend, that's a move I would make because you don't have to pay that debt for 2 years. You
right.
know,
There's him
so
for
and that's
another.
huge.
This here is a 26 second and a full point premium. I'll take that. Uh,
Yep, all day.
here's
Yeah, if
one.
you're getting if you're getting a 26 future second, or you're getting Engram and you can just give up a future 26 second, I would do that every time if I'm looking at going playoff bound. That's a move I would make.
And
Because
then you've
again, you're
got,
leveraging now for 2 years from now, so you're going to get 2 years out of Engram before, or one full season before you even see what's taken with that pick. And then you've got a full season together to compare. Chances are you're moving off Evan Engram after you win the Super Bowl anyway.
yeah, absolutely. You could turn around and trade him for a 26
Right.
second this time next year. So,
Exactly. You get him, you just rent him for a
right,
year in a sense.
right.
We do that
Um,
all the time.
That's why, yeah, it's definitely a good strategy to use. You've got
Hmm.
Engram going here for Brenton Strange in the 411, which was whatever. But Strange, this definitely opens things up for Brenton Strange down there in Jacksonville.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And if you were fortunate enough to pick him up last year or at the end of the season, man, you just got a major value add to your team because all signs are pointing to him being the tight end one there, and continuing to see the targets. Plus, he's already got chemistry with Trevor Lawrence. And with no Evan Engram and no Christian Kirk, it looks like we've got a Brian Thomas and a Brenton Strange. Those are the only two that really stand out to me with built-in chemistry, um, with Trevor Lawrence that I see as the two target grabbers going into 25.
Yeah, I mean, Strange, legitimately, Strange could be the number two target. I didn't even really you got Gabe Davis there, Parker Washington. I mean, they're
Gabe Davis is
whatever.
coming off IR ending, or season-ending IR stint, so that's not a guarantee either.
Right, and if they draft a rookie wide receiver in the second or third round, they're still, they're going to have to get acclimated to Lawrence. I did see Travis Hunter going there once, but if Hunter goes there, I think they're looking more for the defensive side there, and then they
Yeah,
play Hunter a few snaps on offense a game because again they've got Gabe Davis, Parker Washington there. They're not they're NFL players. They're not like guys that you cut. They're NFL players. So those
right.
guys could be the wide receiver twos and threes, and then you bring in Hunter when you get into the red zone. Something like that I could see happening
Mhm.
for
Yeah,
Jacksonville if they were to grab Travis Hunter um,
yeah.
in the draft. And then we can finish it up. One guy from your squad, Juwan Johnson, got re-signed in New Orleans. I think that means probably the end of the road for the Taysom Hill days in New Orleans. What do you think?
Um, I'm curious to see how they're going to handle Taysom Hill. That's a weapon you really don't want to see go out the door because when used appropriate, Taysom Hill is God. You like having that guy because I'm not saying he's the most accurate passer, but he's if he's asked to make a throw, he's confident to step up and throw it, which is better than someone who's not confident, right?
Right.
He's fast, he knocks people over, he can catch, and he's just a when he's on the field, he's an accountability nightmare, right? Who's got Taysom? So I think Kellen Moore, we'll see what he does. Signing Juwan Johnson to the extension he got, I just that was kind of more money
Surprising.
than I thought the Saints should have been spending on Juwan Johnson. I think he's a fine player, a converted receiver to tight end. I think that's great, but man, I'd rather him see that invest that in Taysom Hill and use Taysom Hill more in tight end sets than they currently do. That's just because he becomes more like that Aaron Hernandez type back that can line up in your backfield and tight end.
I think
I
it
think
could
that would
just
have been a
be
smarter move.
the
But then
Tyler
it's
Warren
Mickey
to
Lewis.
the Tyler Warren to New Orleans possibility. I think that's kind of dead now too. I mean, you paid
Yeah,
Juwan Johnson. What was it? 3 years for 30 million.
Yeah, it's
So
a big contract.
big contract. Yeah.
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 I mean, if
I
you're
think
a Juwan Johnson owner, you got to love that, right? Got to love that.
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
And Sean Payton probably likes it too because maybe he gets a good deal on Taysom now.
Yeah, he either goes there or I like Seattle too, where Kubiak is.
Yeah.
That he's going to end up in one of those two spots, I think,
Yeah.
Taysom. If he
Ooh, man, that makes Sam Darnold
it would
dangerous.
hurt Darnold, it would hurt Darnold, but it also would hurt Bo Nix a little. It hurts either quarterback wherever Taysom Hill goes because
Slightly,
it'll
depending
eliminate
on
red
how he's
zone
used. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it hurts the running backs too wherever he goes because
Yeah.
it steals 4 or 5 rushing touchdowns from them. So, but yeah, Taysom Hill's somebody I would not let stay on your waivers. I'll put it that way. He's gonna
That's
be
the
on,
best ball.
he's gonna be on one of those teams' rosters. So
Yep.
I would get out there and scoop up Taysom for the backside of your roster there if he's on waivers, and
Yep.
I don't mind throwing a 4th rounder at him either. But yeah, so if you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe if you like what we're throwing out here at you guys. We've got a lot more coming up next week. We're gonna have Shane Manila from DD Fantasy as well as John Bauer, both from DD Fantasy, with us to do a mock draft. That should be tons of fun. I'm heading down to Florida tomorrow, so I'm going to try and do a few shows from down there. We'll see what kind of setup I've got down there. Maybe I'll swing by Raymond James and throw something at you. I don't know yet. But
Well, that would be fun.
Totally. I'm just going to enjoy the warm weather. It's up and down here where I'm at in Wisconsin, and it's interesting, we'll just say.
Well, it is beautiful around the Gulf of America today. I'll tell you that. Highs in the 70s, I think the low tonight's high 40s or something. So perfect weather down here.
All right, that's good to hear because I'm going to be on the other side of the Gulf. So
There you go.
Yes, gotta love it. Whatever you want to call it, I don't care. It's golf, and I mean, we don't need to get into the politics of it right now. It's all just ridiculous. But yeah, any final thoughts on free agency? Where maybe quickly where you think Keenan Allen or Amari Cooper might land?
Ooh, no.
Yeah,
No, I have no idea where they're going to land. There's so many teams that could use a veteran leader receiver, and if I'm Amari Cooper, I would be extremely selective. I would not go to a team that could use me but isn't going to win. I would be going somewhere simply to try and win and be a leader. That's it. Money would not matter to me if I was him. And I don't think it really ever has, right? But I'd like to see him go.
Could go back to Dallas.
Could.
Just like Keenan could go back to the Chargers. I think that both of those guys, though, yes, they're playing for rings at this point in their career. Like Hopkins, right? He went over to Buffalo.
Baltimore.
Right? Baltimore. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
And he's going there to win a ring. He's not going there because he needs 150 targets anymore.
Yeah.
Just like what he was doing in Kansas City. He just wants to win. He got out of the situation in Tennessee. He just wants to win, and that's where I could see Keenan Allen and Amari being stuck waiting till after the draft. Maybe one of the teams that doesn't take a first-round wide receiver or second-round wide receiver, one of those later picking teams, they'll just grab one of those two because they still both have something left in the tank. They're not completely washed, but they're definitely not what they used to be. I would say Keenan Allen's got a little more left in him. Just because he is such a good route runner that he isn't relying on his, speed as much as Amari maybe.
Yeah. Well, Amari's a pretty good route runner. He's a good possession. He's got great hands. So I like him I could see either. I tell you, this will be one of them could end up in New York with the Giants.
Okay.
Because of the fact they don't have a quarterback yet. And so it makes me think they're going to get a young one. So to have a good route runner with good hands, Along with Malik Neighbors, the pairing would make sense. And it's kind of a 1, maybe 2 year rental for your new quarterback.
Right.
So, but I would say they'd probably be attracted to wherever Rodgers goes, or if Cousins is traded somewhere,
Sure.
maybe that becomes more attractive for him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. If Rodgers doesn't drag Alan Lazard over there with him.
Oh, jeez, God.
All right. So that's all we got for you guys today. Of course, there will be more free agent signings, but next week we'll get back more focused to the NFL draft coming up. We'll do a few mock drafts and answer any of your questions on trades. We've done a few roster reviews. Looking forward to more of those. Don't be afraid to join the Birdhouse NCAA pool. I'll have it down in the comment sections. Hit that up, get into it, win a roster review if you win the NCAA pool. Matt, I don't even have to ask you who you're picking. Oh, I was expecting a gator chop there.
Well, since I'm technically not eligible for the roster review, I just might.
Oh man, I'll tell you this: my lifelong dream is to fill out the perfect bracket, and I've already filled out my free 25 on ESPN. I'm in the midst of them on Yahoo, so I've got a few more to do there. But don't ask me for any advice on that because, man, as much college basketball as I've watched in my career, I am terrible at filling out brackets because I love the little guy too much. What can I say? I want to see somebody other than a blue blood win it for once. That's all. You know, when Butler had their big run, the teams that go, the Cinderellas, they get so far, and then they never win it, though. I want to see one win it. Let's see Drake.
Well, didn't UConn win where they were like a 7 seed or something? Or a 10 seed?
Well, UConn was a 7.
They beat us in the Elite 8. I know that.
It'd be like Kansas winning it this year. Kansas is a 7 seed. They were the preseason number 1. Right?
Oh,
so
wow.
if they win it, it's just their talent came together.
Just another blue blood that got underseeded. Yeah.
Yes.
I got
that
you.
happens. Yeah. But anyway, we are not a NCAA pool advice show here. We just want to have fun with it. So go ahead and join the pool.
Yeah.
Get a free roster review if you beat us. Well, you don't have to beat me or Matt. Matt and I are going to be in it, but we're just doing it for fun. When we win it, the second place guy gets the roster review. So
there you go.
All right. But thank you again for joining today. Hit the like and subscribe. Check out our Patreon. You get our rookie rankings on there. Ask any comments on there too if you want any questions. Just feel free to ask whatever. Do it in the comments on this show as well, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. All right. With that, for Matt English, we want to remind you in the Birdhouse, never stop working. All right.